Hey, Toast. Got anything to say? Okay, we're back out here. As you guys saw, the last few days were kind of rough. Now, yeah. Didn't really get anything done. It's kind of slow. I was messing around with the brake shims. I walked away from this side because I could not get it to work, and I think there's an issue with the plate because it wants to not sit flat. It actually twists the bracket, so over it, not worried about it. That stuff can be worked on later. Got more things to do. As you see, exhaust is pulled. Reason I pulled all of that is because Uncle Steve and I are going to be pulling the transmission to check out the rear of this motor because we have a small leak back here, which we knew about during the season. It was there, but we weren't going to do anything. So now we're going to pull the trans and check everything out, see if the motor needs to be pulled. What sucks about pulling the trans is I have to pull off the headers, and as you guys know, the headers are not the easiest thing to put on and off. Oh well. At least it's off during the off season. So got all that ready. I'm gonna wait to do any of it, but what I did do was mess around with the drive shaft and check all of that. I can't remember if I showed it in. I think I did. Showed the pinion angle and how everything ended up. But the next thing I figured out was the actual length. So I pressed the flange off, set her up there, and not the right length. We aren't going to be able to use this drive shaft. So it had about 1 5/8 of run out. There's a total of 4 inches of engagement on the output shaft. So that leaves us with 2 3/8 inch engagement on the output shaft when it's pulled all the way to this flange. That's not okay. I don't want that much run out. We just need to get a new drive shaft. Not gonna be able to add length. And this flange can change because we need to go to the 1350 series for the flange on the diff. And this is a 310 series yoke. So that yoke doesn't work. This is a different flange, so hopefully they'll be able to put on a new flange. Build it with a longer length, but we'll still be able to use this yoke here for the output shaft. Sucks, we have to buy a whole new drive shaft for this, but it is what it is. It's just how things work when you start doing this stuff. So what's another $650? Used that drive shaft for 3 events. I am trying to figure out what I am going to do. Last night I spent most of the night cleaning the underneath of the car because I was frustrated, and that's what I do when I'm frustrated. And it looks good. I love how easy the powder coat is to clean up. But I have a list of things to do, and I think the next step is, as of right now, I was going to build my rear sway bar brackets and get the rear sway bar set in there and everything. But I'm deciding not to do that because I don't have the arms, and basically because I don't have the arms and I don't have the exact sway bar. I thought I could just mock it up with the one I have, but I'm worried that I'm gonna do all that work, and then run into issues with a new sway bar, which hopefully I won't because it's supposed to all be the same, but I would rather wait. So I'm gonna get the sway bar on order and then go from there. So as of right now, the best thing I can do is pull the rear end out again and work on getting it all painted and final prepped to go back in for the last time and really start solidifying, putting things back together. So it's gonna take a little work to get everything back out, and then to go through everything and put everything back in. Okay, everything is out. Subframe is on the table. Diff is on the bench. And wasn't too bad by myself. It took a little bit longer, obviously it'd be a lot easier with two people. But now it is time to clean everything under here. Just gonna clean it all, wipe it all down, make it all nice again. While everything is open. And then I am going to work on, I gotta decide here because I need to finish the jig up for this, and then I need to go through and prep it all out, clean up anything that I don't want on there painted, take these back out because I'll put those in once it's all painted, and then this thing is going to be ready to get sprayed. And on these brackets I have a lot of cleanup to do. Should have just gotten these sandblasted, but wasn't really thinking that far ahead, so oh well. Okay, she's all cleaned up. Got in there and wiped everything down. Even went into the wheel wells for the most part. Just gotta make her look good again. Yeah. Next thing I'll do is I'll pull rear bumper and clean all back there and everything. It's all still got dust in it from the last event. I haven't touched it. But we'll do that later. And then I'll also, once the transmission gets pulled, clean everything in there and just make everything nice again before the season. And then right now what I'm gonna do is get this RTS skid pan onto the quick change while it's up here on the bench. Move that off the bench, and then I'm going to work on cleaning up the brackets. Just cleaning up these guys for now. And then I'll decide if I'm gonna work on finishing up my jig for the rear end and cleaning that up and ready to spray it. So I've been chipping away at finishing up the jig. So I got this bottom piece in, and this actually mounts to the jig frame, and it centers our, or it locates our outer mounts. And I made these so that you can throw a bolt in and create a stud so the plate can then slip onto this, and then you can have a little bit of adjustment when you want to position it on your subframe. So all those on there, and then I started the top piece, which basically goes in between these two plates, so the outer plates will get put right onto this. I'll drill out holes so I have some alignment on there, but just built a structure there that's going to mount to this other piece. So this is all going to be able to be disassembled, and then I'm going to figure out, once I have all that set in and drill these holes, if I need a piece from up here that goes down. I don't think that I will, because I don't think I'll need it. But yeah, so just pulling a bunch of material together. It doesn't really have like any set to it. I just like, oh, I can use this, I can use that. Just MIG weld it really fast. Something cheap and easy. On the other hand, I got excited about spraying the steelet, and let me tell you, I'm very impressed. This is one coat of steel it on these, and they're already dry, but you're supposed to wait, it says 6 to 24 hours before putting another coat on. Just kind of a huge gap, but so I'm gonna put 2 coats on these. And I just sprayed this one, but it lays down so good on this stuff. It's insane. Yeah. So that's good. I was a little worried about all that stuff, but now I'm not real worried about doing my subframe at all. It's probably gonna work out pretty good. Definitely sold. Like if I do any metal project, I'll definitely be using this stuff. It's expensive. It's 40, I paid 80 bucks for 2 cans. It's a lot, but it's looking like it's, I see why guys use it on their cars and they do their chassis in it. Pretty insane. Okay, so I added a support from here to the back here, and I think that'll support it. So now we won't have any chance of movement this way, and it's all removable. So 3 pieces. This main piece, this top piece, and the support here. I think it turned out good. Hopefully I'll be able to put a subframe in and modify it up with the plates that I have made, and it'll bolt right back into the car, and we'll be able to swap quick change in there. So now this is all done, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get ready to paint the subframe. I think we're all good here. Okay, well, I don't know exactly how much prep needs to go into all this for this steellet and exactly how it all works, but I went through and basically just buzzed what I could when I saw a little bit of nasty stuff. Just a little something there. But basically now I need to pull it out of the subframe and flip it over, take a look at anything underneath that we have or any of the spots I couldn't get to with the jig, and then press out the bushings. Well, that was an absolute mess to do. Probably covered in rubber, but all the bushings are out, cleaned up, and now the subframe is hanging and ready for paint. Toast is ready for bed. But one last final prep through, wipe down, make sure everything's good and cleaned up, and then we will spray this puppy. I'm spraying it tonight. Get the first coat on tonight, 100%. All right, just like that, she's painted. Just one coat right now, and man, this stuff is sick. I love steellet. So first coat is on. We'll let it do its thing, and then I will put another coat on. Yeah, looks good, all black. I'm so pumped about it. It's one thing to like work on it for so long, but then when you see something that you finally finished painted and like in the final stage, makes it so much better. Now I can't wait to get this bad boy in the car. It's gonna look sick. All right, so yesterday I got the second coat on the subframe, and it has been sitting and drying for a while now. Yeah, and the finish is just great. I'm so impressed by the steellet. It looks so good, all painted up. So yeah, we're all painted, and basically what we need to do next is get these subframe bushings in. I was originally going to go with a solid subframe bushing, and I had one designed that I was going to get milled out, but I got too many things on the list to get done right now. I'm not going to be able to do that in time, so for now we're going to go with this really hard plastic. It is a urethane, it's not the Delrin, but these are the Maximum Motorsport ones, and they're super tough plastic. So we're gonna go with those, see how those do. It's always something we can change in the future, and eventually I'm hoping to have a solid mount made and go from there. So I'll probably try and get those in. I'm going to get my mounts for the AN lines put back in, and we'll see. I think if I get everything in, I'm hoping that it's cured enough, because you're supposed to wait a little while to let it get fully cured. But I think that we will be good. I think I'll be okay to put it back in. I don't think I'll really scratch it up. So, and the other reason why we're doing this and trying to get everything back in is we have to pull the transmission. But I found out that, the drive shaft is short, so I want to remeasure one last time before we pull the transmission out. That way, in case we have to pull the motor to do the rear main seal, I'm not waiting on that and then have a panic to get a drive shaft in time for our first test day. Well, I figured while we're here and we have the finished subframe out, let's do some B-roll and really check out the beauty of this thing. Okay, so I got all the subframe bushings in with the inserts pressed in, and that was a little bit more work than I thought it was going to be. Getting the bushings in, no problem, but these crush sleeves are what actually expands the bushing in here. So that's why I had to get a C-clamp, put it on there, and twist it on. The hardest part was getting it centered so it pressed in perfectly. All doing it like with an extra set of hands would have been way easier. But yeah, it looks sick with the red bushings on the black subframe. So I'm pumped about that. Then I got my little ties here for the ANs, and then I'm debating on putting that in right now. Might be a little bit easier just to do it right here, and then I can just connect the top to the diff. So yeah, I might get that dialed in, and then basically my lower subframe bolts, the 14mm ones, which are the appropriate ones that you're supposed to be using for this stuff, will be here tomorrow, and we'll slap this whole thing in and then get the winners in and go from there. See what we're gonna put in next and figure all that out. And I did get the catch can in, slapped on a little special touch that SG sticker. So now I'm going to get the subframe up in there and work on, mounting everything back in kind of as the final assembly. So when these get put in, everything will get torqued down, and this will be the last, I hope, the last time that it goes into the car and doesn't come back out. There it is. It looks so good. All painted black. Only thing is I want to get rid of these chrome. I'd like to go to some red ones, really finish it off, but yeah, looks so good. I'm so pumped on it. It's always the best part, seeing it all put back together after you build it. Never gets old. This car is just getting more and more wild. Cool, well that's it for now. There it is. It's in. So super excited, have this all done, all in. I gotta check for the drive shaft one more time. Hopefully it doesn't have to come back out when we need to do brake lines. Rest of the night I'm gonna go pull the headers. I don't think you guys need to watch me do that. You've seen me do it before. And we're gonna get ready to pull the transmission and check things out in the motor. But yeah, here it is. And of course, we'll have more. We got to get all our suspension components in and finalized and final install and all that stuff. I've got some lower control arms coming, still figuring out the rest of the suspension, and a few other small things, and doing the sway bar. So we'll have a whole video on doing the sway bar. And I'll make another video when I get my other subframe to try and modify it in my jig to see if we have everything dialed. So maybe diff might come out one more time to be able to test that. Yeah, so here it is, you guys. That is the end of this video. I believe this is the second Winner's Quick Change in a New Edge Mustang Cobra IRS. So to finish it off, let's shoot some B-roll. Peace.